How has gender influenced African music? In a sense, if you go to the purest of African music, there's an absolute equality in much of it. A Black African, Bantu African, pre-Islamic African music, where African systems have been dependent on an equality. One of the best examples of this that I personally was a part of was in Kenya. We lived in Kenya for a year in the 90s. It was explosive. It was amazing. We were invited to a Maasai ceremony outside of Nairobi. Well, it was a distance from Nairobi. It was actually in western Kenya. What am I thinking? Close to Migori, Kenya. And accessible only by sort of really big vehicles. We couldn't have taken a little sedan into the woods. We ended up driving over streams and rivers, and this guy gets out of his car to break down a tree so that we can drive through this wooded area, and we remove rocks on the little stream so we can drive through it. It's that rough. We finally got there, and then this was a Maasai ceremony, which for the first day, they were going to celebrate young girls who were passing into adulthood. But for the first day, there were celebrations accordingly. And so with the age group and the sex group, or the gender group, the young women would come from, let's say, age 8 to 12, and they'd sing and dance. Then the older women would come, just the women, from age, 20 to 35, and they'd sing and dance. And so on down the line. And then the young boys, the young men, the older men. So each singing and acting group or dancing group, they sang and danced together. There was no distinction. Each group was done by either male or female singers. And so in a sense, the music was perfectly segregated and perfectly shown for what it was, in a sense, equally done. Sort of like when researchers study habitats, they study male and female species of or genders of a species equally. What's the female cardinal like? What's the male cardinal like? So in that regard, much of really, really, truly traditional African music has an equality between them. There's a role for the men. There's a role for the women. When it has gotten messed up and mixed up and congested with other theories, some of the Islamic ideas have also added the male predominance, the male dominance, and lots of other cultural ideas have come through. Then you add Western thinking and you go through the patriarchy systems, and that's yet something else. So by the time we get African music over here, it's been already blended by many hierarchies that possibly didn't belong to the absolutely original Bantu African, sub-Saharan African cultures. But my belief is that in the truest of expressions, in the tribal, the organic way of development, music was totally equal. But whatever totally equal is, we don't really know. So we're sort of going back to an idealism when we say that African music is completely equal, male, female. Then you have the rise of the Western values, which have been very patriarchally oriented. And not to say that there isn't patriarchy expressed within traditional African music as well, or African culture. But it's a huge question. We could talk about it for hours and hours. But if you talk about the end result is that Africa has presented some amazing diva women who are better known than some of their male performers by my ideas. Miriam Makeba, for instance, South Africa, I think she's probably single-handedly the best-known African singer. My daughter, who works in a high-end style store in Eaton Center at the corner of Queen and Yonge, she works at Town Shoes, and she said that the other day, this is hilarious, a DJ came in. They have to play really the au contemporaire hip hop music in there to sell their high end shoes. And so my daughter, who's also doing some fashion work these days, some fashion modeling, she was in there, and this DJ came in and had a recording of Miriam Makeba's Pata Pata. This is made into dance music, you know, and so there's Pata Pata playing, and Miriam Makeba. Then soon afterwards, a group of very conservative of Mennonite, old order Mennonites came in with their very conservative dress. Juxtaposition of the hip hop dance music and the old order Mennonites. So anyhow, there's Miriam Makeba being played in a fashion design store. You'd also have Yuso and Dar and possibly some others, but you look far and wide to find one African voice that gets people dancing in North America uniformly. But Miriam Makeba would be one such. I don't think I spoke very authentically to gender in North American music, but I think in a sense those of us, and I've been doing gender studies for decades now. I teach a women in music class, women, music and gender class, and we always have a big African section, and it's one of the most exciting parts of the class, because then we sort of get to the bottom of the society and the roots of some of the customs that have, some of which have died away and that we're trying to rediscover and restore.